to Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. I'm Hilary, and today I have with me...
It's me, Nick.
It's you, Nick.
How you doing today?
I'm super.
Okay. Well, that's good.
How about you?
I'm fine. How do you feel about the Deadpool 3 news? Because if I go back and listen to the past episode, you hated 1, you were pretty okay with 2, and now we're in the Disney era, and they've just said 3 is really going to happen.
I guess my main takeaway is that I do not care.
You don't care. You don't care.
I don't care.
Well, that's going to be great for today's topic.
I guess I'm happy for the people that are happy. But why do you ask about Deadpool, Nick?
Well, Hilary, because I thought that for today's episode, we could talk about Marvel Unlimited's Infinity Comics Deadpool, Invisible Touch, issues 1 through 5.
Now, there is an X-Men Infinity Comics.
There is, yes.
We're not doing it.
There's X-Men Unlimited and there's Life of Wolverine.
Okay. But we're doing Deadpool.
Well, you know, because Deadpool's in the air with the threequel coming out, and I just thought...
I feel like you bring me the things that I don't want to do. Is that your role in this podcast?
I'm like your man on the street,
Okay.
you know, and Eric's away.
Just stretching...
Nick will play. I don't know.
Stretching my interests.
Sure. Okay.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
we read Deadpool, Invisible Touch, 1 through 5. It was written by Jerry Dugan, perhaps Gary Dugan.
Either way.
With pencils by Lucas Wernick. This one ran from September 30th to October 28th, 2021. So pretty recent.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what are your thoughts on the Infinity Comics? Well, I guess we should say, if you're not familiar with Infinity Comics, they're exclusive to the Marvel Unlimited app. DC also has some digital exclusive content that's just for the DC Ultimate. They change the name all the time. DC Infinite app that they have. So what I like about the Infinity Comics, though, is the format. Well, how did you feel about the format?
Yeah, I thought it was good. This was the first Infinity Comics thing that I've read. Although I looked at that shark thing.
Oh, it's Jeff.
It's Jeff.
Yeah. Well, that's vaguely
I saw that.
Deadpool related, yeah.
I guess that felt more like a random, like a Sunday morning comic kind of thing. So the format didn't stand out as much.
Yeah.
But with Deadpool, this was the one that I read that was
like a legit,
just a straight comic in this format.
Longer.
I thought it worked fine. I thought, it's clever to have something that works in the scrolling style.
Exactly. So it's an infinite scroll. So you just start and you just keep going up and up and up. I will say I wish that there was just an auto scroll option that I could just click it and it would just go through the whole thing.
I would not trust an auto scroll.
You wouldn't?
No, I can't stand that kind of thing.
Okay. Well,
I need to control everything.
See, I bring up the DC stuff because there's a Superman title, I think it's called Man of Tomorrow, that I really like. A Wonder Woman one called Agent of Peace that I don't. But those are just very standard, like straightforward comics that are just sort of out of continuity. Here's a fun Superman story. Mm-hmm. And so I like that, but it's not particularly unique.
Yeah.
But all of the Infinity Comics that I've read, I've kind of been down with. I mean, I
guess I'm kind of surprised it's taken this long to get something like this.
I know. And I like them because, well, I mean, you know this with the X-Men. Sometimes continuity is so
impossible.
hard. It's so hard to know where to jump in. So with Infinity Comics, I've read like Shang-Chi, I read Venom and Carnage, I read, Fantastic Four, a bunch of other ones.
Because they're just outside of continuity.
Yeah, because you can just pick them up and just like roll through it. That's what I liked about this one too. It's just its own little isolated story. And it touches on continuity, but it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can just go in. My appointment reading for Infinity Comics is Spider-Bot. Have you looked at Spider-Bot at all?
I have not.
So, Spider-Bot, they're shorter. They're longer than the It's Jeff, but they're shorter than something like this. And they're just little stories of Spider-Man's like various drones that he uses on missions and stuff. And they just kind of have their own little world.
Spider-Man uses drones?
Well, he had like the Spider Tracer and Spider Tracker and all that stuff that he would shoot up.
Them?
It's just about
as characters?
It's just about the Spider-Bots. They're just sentient little Spider-Man robots.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I dig it. I have a good time with it. Every time I open it up and it's like recently added a new Spider-Bot, I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. Well, why don't we get into this Deadpool?
So if you haven't read it, this is just on the Marvel Unlimited. If you don't have the app or you're not going to read it, we're going to just take you through the story step by step and talk about it. So
yeah. So we dive in with issue 1.
That's right.
So Deadpool is in France.
Yes.
He is pretending to be a villain, Stilt Man, who is like a full body metal suit but with like long legs.
And I have to assume they went with that just for the Infinity format, so you could see.
Yes,
the
there was
stilt man. Yeah.
there's a scrolling element.
It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
So he's doing this, and we find out that he is going to an auction
Right.
of, like, attended by supervillains,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah, classic.
Because someone called the In-Betweener is, because he's a middleman, I guess.
Yes.
He has gotten this, like, document, I don't know, something
It's like
with,
a flash drive.
It's a flash drive
Yeah.
of, like, patents, or it's patented things.
It's all of Tony Stark and Reed Richards' patents that they've collected over the years.
Yeah. So it's a little funny because the reason that he has it is because they both, Reed Richards and Tony Stark,
Yes.
put into each of their separate wills
Yeah.
that if they died, all of their patents would go to the other person.
Right.
They both end up dying,
Yes.
as people do in comics.
In comics, sure.
And when that happened, their patents just sort of like went,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somehow
Wherever
they fall.
things go.
Somehow they fall into the hands of the in-betweeners. But this is sort of the first little poke at continuity and maybe like a fourth wall breaking joke that we get throughout, as is standard for Deadpool.
It's Deadpool.
So we're going along, and it seems like Electro wins the auction, or he's going to go get it. So Deadpool as Stiltman stops him, and then the Spot appears. Do you know anything about the Spot?
I've seen the Spot
Yeah.
before. I don't know a lot about him, but I guess he wields spots.
Yes, he does. There's in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, which was concurrent with like the X-Men animated series, or maybe a little bit after. They crossed over. The Spot is part of this whole thing where Mary Jane like falls into one of the portals and like you never find her again, and that was like as close as they could do to death on that series. So I always associate Spot with like 90s Fox Marvel cartoons. So it's kind of fun to see him pop up here.
Was she really gone?
Well, I don't know if that was the plan, but it was an unresolved cliffhanger. So
she's just in.
she could be to this day. Yeah. I mean, they're bringing back
a fate
X-Men.
worse than death?
They're bringing back X-Men, so maybe they'll bring back the Spider-Man.
Maybe they'll bring back the
animated
Spider-Man.
series. You
All
never
right.
know.
So Electro was going to steal
Yeah.
the thing, but Spot has been hired to steal it as well.
Right.
Then Deadpool gets involved.
Yes, as
because
Stiltman.
he says that he's been hired to get it too.
Yeah, and we kind of find that out as
yeah.
it goes.
So he and the Spot fight, but then all of a sudden appears out of nowhere the Invisible Woman.
Right. And
Unexpectedly.
She's sort of in her invisible format, and Deadpool's like, ghost.
I have read zero Fantastic Four.
Nothing. Wow.
But I liked her vibe.
I do too.
I've always seen her as kind of like, I guess because of the period when the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four sort of like came out of. She always sort of seems like
the wife.
the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just sort of like very stereotypical womaniness.
Yeah, I think exactly what you're saying. Just like Jean Grey in the same period was just kind of like,
Yeah.
you're the girl character in this team,
Yeah.
so do the girl stuff. I think that was her history for a long time.
So I don't know if this was an unusual characterization for her, but she was pretty, tough and like doing her own thing.
Yeah.
And very little mention of the fact that she was Reed Richards' wife.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So not defined by her relationships.
I think that's in line with the Sue Richards you see in like current continuity.
Okay.
But it was a good showing for her, definitely. And right away, like I'm a sucker for an unusual team up. So like
Yeah.
Deadpool and the Invisible Woman, have they ever even been in a panel together?
It's pretty interesting.
Like let alone a
I
full
liked how
team
she
up,
was
but-
just continually embarrassed by being associated with
right.
him.
Yeah, that's a fun running
And
gag
everyone
throughout.
ended up being embarrassed for her.
Right, people you wouldn't expect. Yeah.
But anyway, she wants to get this thing, the flash drive, because she knows that if it gets in the hands of villains, then they can do bad things with it. And she
Right.
just can't stand the idea of her husband's patents being used in such a way. And so she kind of kicks everybody's butt,
Mm-hmm.
but the Spot ends up getting the
Little flash drive.
flash drive with his Spot portal things.
Mm-hmm.
And runs off. She's going to find him. She's going to take care of the situation. But Deadpool comes after her and is like, listen, you can't do that.
Well-
I know all of the, criminal underworld crap. So
Yeah.
you should use
Yeah,
me.
she needs his contacts or whatever. But it's funny because he's still dressed as Stiltman, so she doesn't know right away. And so he takes it off, and he's like, "It's me, Deadpool," and she's like, "That's worse. I don't. What are you looking for? I don't know."
Yeah, it is
Really
funny
funny.
that he just like associates himself with the heroes.
Right.
He's just like, I'm one of you guys.
Yeah, it's me. I'm here.
But anyway, she's not interested, but somehow they end up still going together. Does he
Well,
how does he get...
I mean, he's basically saying like he's trying to get it back for Captain America for the Avengers, And we kind of leave it at that.
Because he's trying to get on Captain America's good side.
That's what we find out eventually.
Yeah.
And so she kind of is just like, well, I guess we're both here. And he just kind of hops into the shuttle with her. And, you know, then they're off.
Because I didn't notice her acquiescing, I guess.
She
and
doesn't
all of a sudden
really.
They were just
No,
together.
I think he just kind of calls shotgun and she just goes for it.
What is that weird thing? They're in like a
Yeah.
it's like Flight of the Navigator, that movie.
I do. Yeah.
It's like that thing.
Yeah.
It's like a weird alien spaceship.
Yeah. Well, it seems kind of like the Fantastic Car, but also it seemed a little bit more plain-like. I'm not really sure. I'm not up to date on Fantastic Four either.
Well, whatever. They're in a thing.
And that's issue 1.
Issue 2 starts in the plane still.
Yes.
Deadpool's been sleeping.
Yes.
Sue, once he wakes up, is like, you know what? I had time to think.
Hard pass.
I am not doing this thing.
No, thank you.
I can't be associated with you. I don't want to be involved in this. Deadpool is like, sure, fine. I've got a lot of solo titles. I can handle this on my own.
I like that.
So we have, meta. And then, but they're still in the same vehicle, and they end up at a bar, the bar with no name.
The bar with no name, as it says right on the door.
As it says on the door. And Sue pretty quickly reconsiders again and is like, okay, fine, I guess I'll go along with this, criminals and stuff.
They're here for this
So
bar.
she goes invisible, and he goes in pretending to be by himself.
Right.
And she's just sort of hanging around.
Right.
There is the longest.
It is so long.
The longest spoof on the Cheers theme song.
Yeah.
When he goes in.
I mean, it's
Deadpool
the
enters,
imagery, everything.
Deadpool enters and starts singing Sometimes You Want to Go Where Nobody Knows Your Name or something like that. And it's all about the no-name bar. But it's just so belabored.
Well, it is, and it's the only thing like that. It's the only sort of fantastical thing.
Yeah.
That
and
happens.
they almost save it with, like, the bartender at the end is like, for the last time, this isn't a karaoke bar.
Yeah.
Like, this has happened before.
Yeah.
But it's just too much.
Well, it's a real clipped pace in this thing. It's 5 issues, but it's a fast read. And so to spend so much of it on this is kind of odd.
Yeah, and it's not good enough.
No, it's not.
Like, they give you so many, like, takes on the lyrics and stuff. And it's like, it feels like they're proud of it, but there's nothing. Because, like, why else would you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Unless they just had too much. They just needed to fill the space.
Yeah.
But it's not clever or interesting.
No, and I think there's a certain extent to which I expected the whole thing to be funnier. I guess we could say that, but I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit more.
There's
it's
not
a little
a
more
lot.
straightforward.
It's not quippy. It's not.
Yeah, it has its moments, but the overall thing I would not say is particularly funny or quippy.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not a Deadpool story, but it's also not a non-Deadpool story that Deadpool pops up in.
Right.
It's like neither of those styles.
I know, you're right.
Anyway, so they're both in the bar. Sue's invisible. Deadpool's pretending to be alone. He's looking for someone who knows the spot.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk to him.
Right.
So he decides that he's going to use Sue Storm.
Yeah.
To intimidate the
Right.
people. And he's like, I'm going to use my finger guns.
My invisible finger.
And
is that
so
what he says? Yeah.
he'll point at stuff and Sue will make things like push people or like,
It's a quick moment, but like he says that and you can kind of like see her realizing, oh jeez.
Yeah, that's true.
But like they can't talk about it. He's already said this is going to happen.
He just sort of like does that thing where he like over enunciates what he's going to do so that she's like, somebody had better do something when I have my finger guns.
Right.
So she knows what she's supposed to. So he's blasting people. And
very heavy with Spider-Man villains, by the way. Not X-Men or Deadpool villains.
Rhino and...
Yeah. Vulture,
else?
Black Cat, Shocker, Doc Ock. It's like exclusively Spider-Man villains, including the Spot. I would mostly associate with Spider-Man. So,
Weird.
Yeah, not Fantastic Four, not X-Men related.
Weird.
That's just an odd choice.
But anyway, so finally they're like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll deal with you. The bartender knows that the Spot's lawyer is in the bar.
Right.
So sends them to him. Mm-hmm. And they're about to get information from the lawyer, but then Sue is standing next to a villain who's messing with like a
big bag from a bank.
Yeah, a bag of money that he stole. And it explodes with the ink, the dye pack, and covers her. And so she's visible now.
Yeah, and Shocker's like, it's a ghost! Exactly the same as Deadpool the first time, which I thought was funny. There's only 2 of those ghost jokes, but...
You hate that.
You got to do 3, people. Come on.
So that's revealed, but it's also not really a big deal because apparently the entire villain world is incredibly intimidated by Sue Storm.
Yeah.
Like, just her presence,
She's
they're
got
all
a
just
good
like,
showing.
well, crap.
Yeah.
And she, like, most of her interactions with villains in the earlier thing at the auction and at this thing, she just has to say, you know, like, I'll give you a deal, or I won't take you to jail. And they're just like, okay, I'll do whatever. They don't. She doesn't have to threaten them. She just has to be like, well, we all know that I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
So what if I just don't do that?
Yeah.
And you give me what I want?
Yeah. Well, this one kind of ends with Doc Ock just being like, "Oh my gosh, Susan, why are you working with Deadpool?" And that's pretty much the button of issue 2.
So issue 3, they have made an appointment to meet the Spot in Central Park. He is an hour late.
Yes.
Sue is again regretting being seen with Deadpool. She says, "I'm turning invisible and I'm never turning back."
I like that.
The lawyer is with them. He falls into a hole that the Spot has opened up, so he's there.
Right.
He says that he's shown up basically just to get rid of the lawyer.
Yeah.
He's not really going to play ball at all.
Yeah. And Sue keeps sort of saying, like, we're not partners. I'm not with him. We're not working on this together. And Deadpool kind of launches into it. And he says, come on, Dead Pal. The Terrific Two have got this. And she's
he just wants wants to be buddies.
Yep.
He trips and just starts shooting.
Yeah.
He chases the Spot. I don't know how he ends up there, but he gets to a tree.
Yeah.
There's a hole in the tree, and he starts shooting into the hole in the tree.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of squirrels come out. And he says, "Oh no, I'm not rated for Squirrel Girl." Because Squirrel Girl is a family-friendly superhero.
That's right. You've gone deep on Squirrel Girl, haven't you?
I have. I do love. I've read
all of it.
Maybe not all of it. I keep thinking that I must have gotten to the end by now, but it just keeps going.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl, created by Steve Ditko.
Yeah, yes.
There you go.
And written most recently by Ryan North.
That's right.
Who I love.
Ryan North is currently writing an Infinity comic. He's writing the it's like Marvel Fairy Tales or something.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
A lot of the time he ends up writing things that I don't care about, which makes me really sad because I want to read it.
Yeah.
Because it's Ryan North. Mm-hmm. But then I just don't like the topic.
Correct.
It's very sad.
Yep.
Anywho, so Sue.
Well, he's just shot the gun, so she's over that.
Yeah, he's just shooting too much. She crushes his guns. He does a little Deadpool crying about his guns babies, because he loves them and all that stuff. He calls her Susan B. Anthony Van Halen Richards, probably because she has a hyphenated name.
Right, probably. So, I mean, while all this is going on, Spot has pretty much gotten away because he's just going in and out of the portals. But he does sort of pop back just to be like, why are you working with this idiot? And then, he's gone again. And Sue is beyond furious by this point.
Yeah. So the Spot is basically just getting away. He doesn't seem like they're getting him at all.
Right.
Sue offers to give him money because, they've got money.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He doesn't care because he has his honor or whatever. He has to deal with his client. And also his client is someone who's dangerous. Mm-hmm. And so he's scared about it. So Sue sort of catches him in a force field and he sort of you sort of watch him build a spot inside of it, and then he disappears. Mm-hmm. So Spot gets away. Sue is mad. Deadpool has been beaten up.
And that's kind of a funny fight where Deadpool keeps stabbing into the things and then he gets stabbed or he kicks him and Deadpool gets kicked.
Because he kicks into the portal.
Yeah.
And the portal, he puts the portal back on
But
Deadpool.
It actually was pretty clever the way they did it. That was a funny moment. And I mean, Deadpool pretty much when Spot goes, Deadpool's like, well, I guess that's it. The only guy we knew to get in touch with him is gone and Spot is gone and we've got no leads, no ideas. And he thinks pretty much that's it.
Yeah. But Sue has an idea. She thinks she has something back at the Baxter building that can stop the Spot from using his spots or something. Deal with his situation.
Maybe we'll find out in issue 4.
In issue 4.
Okay.
So issue 4 starts at the Baxter building. I think Deadpool's asleep. No, he's not asleep. He's in Sue's bedroom.
Yeah.
And Sue is taking a shower. And Thing.
Yeah, we open up with Thing making a big sandwich, how much he loves his sandwich or something.
Yeah.
And then as he's walking, he's like, hey, Reed. And then he walks by Reed's room. And then he's like, hey, Deadpool, as he walks by Sue's. And then it's a classic double take. And
yeah. And so he's just mortified that Sue would cheat on Reed with Deadpool.
He thinks Deadpool's broken into her room or something. And he punches him right in the face.
Deadpool says that she's in the shower. Yeah. I think he thinks that they were together.
I see. Oh, spicy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he says, he's like, I know that Reed works a lot, but this is too much.
Okay.
Anyway, Sue gets out, tells him to stop punching Deadpool. At this point, she's starting to get a lot more sympathetic with Deadpool.
She is.
It's a little bit of a quick turnaround. I don't see the growth very much, but she sort of stops with all of the like, oh, I can't be seen with you stuff, and starts being like, everyone's just beating up on this guy, and we need to like not be doing
Well,
that.
I think that's why, because she's kind of basically just using intimidation, and nothing's really coming her way, like fighting or violence-wise. And Deadpool is just launching head first, and like taking the brunt of everything. And I think, she feels bad for him.
And she or he, someone says that like because they all know he can heal, nobody pulls their punches.
Right. Yeah.
Which appears to be true.
Yeah, it does.
And she, she just seems like she wants people to be nicer to him.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's taken a shower.
Yes.
And now can go to her idea.
Because of the dye packs. Remember, she's all covered in ink.
Yes. So she goes to get Reed's dimensional portal analyzer, which she says he skipped her birthday to make. And then he says, no, I didn't skip your birthday. I went back in time so that I didn't skip your birthday.
And created a new reality in which
I got you a nice coffee mug.
Yeah.
That was confusing to me because it doesn't matter. It's a stupid joke, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But Reed is just like looking at his computer or whatever. Sue says, fine, I'll be with Deadpool if you need me. And then there's like a beat and then another beat and then Reed being like, what? So then up on the roof, Thing is with them still, and Deadpool are there, and they are sharing a sandwich.
Specifically a dogwood sandwich, and Thing is like, I've never heard of that before, and Deadpool's like, it's a different universe.
Is that like Dagwood, like the...
Blondie, from Blondie, the comic strip,
All right, it's a different universe.
Yeah, it's a deep cut.
Thing made Deadpool a sandwich because Sue made him feel bad about punching him.
Yeah.
They decide they're going to go. Thing says that he can come along if they need muscle. Sue's like, I'm the muscle. And
I thought that was a cool moment. You didn't think that was cool?
It's a little pandering.
Oh, okay.
But, whatever. They get in the plane thing, whatever. Sue kind of verbalizes this thing about feeling bad that people just beat up on him.
Right.
And Deadpool's just sort of like, well, every time I get kind of a reboot, so I kind of like it or whatever.
Yeah. And this is where we find a little more about him, that like he is trying to get the flash drive. Yeah, he's trying to get the flash drive to get it back to Captain America, but he wants to like turn it into his ex, who's a Fed, and she'll get it to the Avengers, and he's trying to use this as an excuse to like get some time with his daughter. This is a portion of Deadpool comics that I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was like joking.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe that just is a nice thing about him, that like he has this depth, but I just know nothing about it. So I was just like, is he just being stupid?
I'm not, even the modern stuff I've read hasn't touched on that, so I wasn't really sure. But this is one of the few places where it kind of touches on what's going on in outside community. But like, I didn't know what he was referring to, but it wasn't an issue. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and then
it's just a quick thing.
You roll past it. But I guess if you know, you're like, hey, because of that thing.
Yeah. That's just another little moment that's sort of like getting Sue to be more sympathetic with him because, he's more of a deep person than I thought he was. They find Spot somehow. Oh, yeah, her device sort of locates dimensional shifts or something. Mm-hmm. And so she's thinking that she'll find Spot by finding the spots he makes.
Right, exactly.
So they find the last place that he has done a spot, and she makes them invisible. They knock down the Spot and basically are like, we've got you.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't understand. The person I sold it to is super dangerous. And up shows Dr. Doom.
How'd you feel about that?
I was disappointed.
I was a little disappointed
because
too.
It's just so obvious. I mean, like, obviously, it's the Fantastic Four, Dr. Doom.
Right.
Fine. But, like, the way that they played it, like, just don't do a big reveal, I guess, if you're going to do that. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But just don't be like, who is it? Who could it be? And
also,
then it's just him.
It gets worse. In issue 5.
So, Doom has shown up. He's mad at Spot because part of his payment was to make sure that this interaction was private.
Right.
And people have found out. So Doom's, mad.
Right.
Spot sort of tries to keep...
Yeah, he's like, I'll take care of them.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. But Sue puts she puts one of her force fields inside his sinus?
I think so. They never say sinus, but that's, I guess, what I thought. She says, like, pressing on nerves and things.
Yeah, but she's, like, expanding it inside of his head.
Right, and he can't,
And he thinks, he's like, you're bluffing, and she's like, do you think I'm bluffing?
In that voice.
Yeah, I think it was that voice.
Okay.
And finally he gives up.
He sort of leaves and is like,
That's right.
yeah, he's like, whatever, like, you guys deal with this. He's
Like,
delivered it to Doom
yeah.
or whatever, and he's done. But as he's walking out, he's like, next time I want cash, Doom coin is confusing, as is all crypto.
Yeah. So now Doom has the thing.
Right.
And Sue's all ready to fight him.
Yeah.
But then Deadpool is better now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
starts to go, but Doom takes him out.
And Sue, this is where Sue's kind of standing up for him, being like, hey, he might heal, but he feels the pain,
Yeah.
Dr.
And
Doom.
This is, like she's very familiar with Doom, which
Right.
I think is nice.
Yeah.
So it's like good that it is Doom for that.
Yeah.
But again, if they hadn't done the build
Right, but then she goes kind of dark and is like, I'm going to peel that armor off your skin. Like, it's a pretty serious threat.
Yeah. But then it turns out that it is not Dr. Doom.
Right,
After all, he
right.
takes the mask off, and it is
And, spoiler alert,
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark himself.
For some reason.
Whose patents they are to begin with.
Yeah, so what he says is that he could have gone to the auction and bought
Right.
the patents back.
Yeah.
But that would be more expensive than hiring someone to steal them.
Right.
So that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
And pretended to be Dr. Doom.
Yeah. And
Well
he's sort
done.
of doing like, he keeps doing Doomisms and stuff as he's talking to Sue. He's all like talking regal and stuff. And,
Yeah, he's pretending
you know.
to do it. Then, I mean, that's kind of it for that. He's just like, so yeah, I got the thing and I'm
Yeah.
going to leave. Bye.
And Sue kind of warns him, like, you shouldn't mess around with this. This is kind of a serious moment where she's like, Doom is smarter than you, and he probably knows what you're doing. And there's a whole thing about them, Doom experimenting with Iron Man armor and him returning the favor, messing with Doom armor. So again, another little tendril out into like the greater Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But you know,
Oh, and he says that the Doom armor he made fools Doom bots.
Right.
And she
Yeah.
says, or he wants you to think that they
Yeah.
that it fools Doom bots.
Yeah,
So he can like use it somehow.
exactly.
So anyway, he leaves. He has the flash drive.
they're
So the
back,
flash
yep.
drive storyline is over.
Yes.
Deadpool does not understand what has happened. Sue just sort of pretends that like he saved the day
Mm-hmm. Right.
and just doesn't remember
Right.
it. I don't really know why she does that, just
I
to
think
make him
she's
feel
just
good.
an old softie, yeah.
Okay.
And then we see a whole alternate version of Deadpool destroying Doctor Doom, like as he dreams of this thing that's happened.
Yeah. Deadpool asks where the hard drive is. Sue says that she made it invisible. And Deadpool is very impressed
Ah, yes. Yeah.
by that idea. So as they're leaving, Sue says that maybe next time she would save him and calls him partner, which delights him. And that's the end.
Yeah. But we get a little like
Yeah, and
tag.
there's a little tag that says Deadpool and the Invisible Woman will return in Murder Most Invisible.
Murder Most Invisible.
Now, was that a genuine will return? Or
I
was
don't
that
know.
like a joke?
I don't know. I'm not
Because
sure.
that will return thing has been popping up a lot in movies.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was like another.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a thing. I most associate that with like classic James Bond. I honestly don't know. I mean, a lot of the early, like this was like late 2021, which is right around when Infinity Comics popped. A lot of those were just 4 or 5 issue arcs, but something like The Life of Wolverine or X-Men Unlimited are ongoing, so they're much longer. So I assumed this was just a 5-issue story, but maybe they're planning a sequel and it just hasn't come out yet. I'd be there for it. What about you?
I might read it again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I liked Sue, which is a pretty good accomplishment.
I agree. Yeah.
Because, like, who the heck cares about Sue Storm?
Right.
But I didn't love Deadpool in it. It was just sort of nothing.
It was a little bit of a watered down Deadpool, I would say.
I would say incredibly watered
Like a Disney
down.
Deadpool,
It was
maybe.
like, yeah, but like, I don't know. It was like if you briefly explained to someone the kinds of things that Deadpool does and says.
Yeah.
And then had them make a comic with Deadpool in it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Because a lot of it felt done before
Okay.
and not very funny.
That's true. If I had to ding it for anything, I would say it should have and could have been funnier.
Yeah.
I think that would have gone a long way because the story as itself is pretty simple. They're just trying to get back this hard drive and that's it. So I think like the atmosphere could have just been funnier overall. But I approach these Infinity comics, I think, with maybe a different lens. Like if I was going to go and rate this on like a Goodreads or something, I would probably rate this higher than I would have if this was just like, a standard comic book story.
Why?
Because I feel like, well, first of all, I've never read one of these Infinity comics when I wasn't like laying flat on my back in bed, like just before I go to sleep. I'm like, I got a few minutes. Let me read one of those Infinity comics. So I like them as just sort of a quick little like fun story to just kind of like flip through.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense to me. I guess that the place where I would critique it then is finding the right characters to be doing, because certain characters like Deadpool have very strong associations with them and like expectations.
Yeah.
There are lots of characters that have been done a million different ways.
Right.
And you can just pick one of those and just do a cute little story that doesn't affect you at all.
Right.
If that's the goal, I don't know. But like something like Deadpool, you just open it up and you have a very specific thing in mind.
Yeah.
And to have it just not be that just feels like, why did they even do that?
Yeah, well, like I said, middle of the way through here, I feel like the unusual pairing of Deadpool and the Invisible Woman is what I found most interesting about this. Because,
that's true.
Because of the different side it brings out of both characters. I can't imagine if you're like a long-term Deadpool fan, particularly if you're a Deadpool fan coming from the movies, which are dirtier, I think, than the comics typically were anyway. But I think you'd probably be disappointed by this version of Deadpool.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in the comics, too, like what I said earlier about it also not being like a Deadpool showing up in someone else's story thing.
Yeah.
Is like, it kind of has to be funny. Because like all he does is like make little quippy things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it just felt like none of the things that you want from Deadpool happened.
Yeah. I think that's fair, but again, I think I'm just holding it to a different standard because I'm looking at these Infinity comics as a whole as just a fun little quick bite kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just didn't bump up on that so much. Maybe I would have if it was a character that I loved and had like really specific expectations of.
Yeah.
You know? But
I
just
don't
had
care.
a good time.
I don't care about Deadpool.
Okay.
I don't really like Deadpool. But like if you're gonna do Deadpool, do Deadpool.
Do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess.
Well, listen, if they do Murder Most Invisible, I'm all for it. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna enjoy it.
All right.
You know, I think. What do you think? Like 20 minutes, like reading this whole thing, probably would take.
I guess probably, yeah.
And that's
just scroll through the. I mean, if you're gonna be scrolling, you might as well be taking in some.
There you go.
I was gonna say literature.
I saw, yeah, I heard a little bit of that L coming out.
Yeah.
But no, I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I would rate it higher than you because I just had a good time with it. I like the weird pairing. I'm ready for more.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Okay. If you're looking for something quick and fun like this, I think Spider-Bot is a good time. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of them that I intend to read that I haven't gotten into yet. I didn't particularly like the Fantastic Four Infinity comic, but I don't particularly like the Fantastic Four. I always want to, you know.
Want to?
I do. I do want to like the Fantastic Four. I think I have a lot of... Because, as a kid, I was like the king of the quarter bins. And the Fantastic Four is just like a legendary comic. And so there'd always be a lot of Fantastic Four popping around in there, like Steve Englehart era stuff that I would just get and read and like.
What is it? What's that group from DC that's in the Teen Titans movie?
Challengers of the Unknown.
Challengers of the Unknown. I don't understand why the Fantastic Four didn't go the way of the Challengers of the Unknown.
Just disappear.
Because they're just... No matter how many times people try to update them, they're unupdatable.
That's true. Well, I've long said that I wish that they would do a period piece Fantastic Four. Just do a 1960s set Fantastic Four movie, and I think that would be great.
I think that would work.
It's funny that you bring up Challengers of the Unknown, because those are a Jack Kirby creation, as is the Fantastic Four. And... like Jack Kirby did one, I think Challengers came first at DC, and then when he left DC, like Fantastic Four popped up, and they're very similar in their vibe and their scope and everything. Mm-hmm. But what Fantastic Four does better, I think, is distinguish the four characters. Yeah. The Challengers of the Unknown are pretty much indistinguishable from one another, and Fantastic Four adds that layer there. But I agree. I mean, they keep trying. And I don't know that there's ever really been a Fantastic Four run. You could maybe say the Jonathan Hickman run is pretty good and up there, but I don't know that there's ever been one that's really like set the world on fire.
Yeah.
I liked Ultimate Fantastic Four quite a bit in the beginning, but...
You know what? I will say, I usually like the individual characters from the Fantastic Four when they show up in other things.
Well, like Sue in Deadpool, Invisible Touch. Yeah.
So... I mean, because I guess they have a different position in that world that I think is interesting in the context of other titles.
Yeah, it's like the characters within the Marvel Universe respect the history of the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four somehow.
Yeah.
So they bring with him, even Johnny Storm, I think, brings with him a little bit of like, ooh, it's a Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I guess there's that.
Yeah, there is that.
All right.
Did this make you want to read X-Men Unlimited or The Life of Wolverine, the other X-Men Infinity titles?
I don't know that it made me want to, particularly. I guess it made me aware that this is a thing.
Are you a hostage today?
I'm not a hostage. Somebody said, hey, read that Deadpool Infinity comic, and so I did that thing. Mm-hmm. But here I am.
Hey, I watched a Mojo episode for you, so I think maybe now we're even.
But then you tricked me into reading a Mojo comic.
I did. Astonishing Spider-Man
So
Wolverine.
I don't think so.
Oh, what
I
a
don't think
great...
so. But yeah, I'll probably... I will probably read the X-Men Unlimited. I don't know if I'll do the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because I don't care so much.
Got it. Okay.
He's
bold.
fine.
Bold.
I know.
Okay.
That's why I stopped so much. Because I know that people will be like, Wolverine's the best.
You were trying.
He's fine.
Okay.
He's overplayed. It's fine.
I think even the most diehard Wolverine fan could probably cop to that Wolverine at this point in time is overplayed.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're stepping on any toes there. But
Okay.
Anyway, the book is Deadpool Invisible Touch over on Marvel Unlimited. It's one of the Infinity comics.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Check it out while you're lying in bed waiting to fall asleep.
That's what I do.
It's very peaceful.
Yes.
Unusually peaceful for a Deadpool.
Yes.
Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Previously on X-Men is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X. Please rate, subscribe, or share this show wherever you get your podcasts. And see you next time.
So long.
Thanks, Nick.